In this video, I go over Luxau, rolling arms, and the importance of cultivating good circular shapes, a unified defensive structure, and how to apply the state for power generation within it. I go through a few stages. There's actually two parts to this lesson, so this is part one. Hope you enjoy. Luxau. Look, Luxau is a super valuable tool for your Wing Chun, but most people don't know how to do it properly. Luxau, which means rolling arms, right? Luxau, rolling arms and Luxau is it's like another form essentially, but a form with a human person, right? With a body that moves, right? As opposed to doing it on your own. So the question becomes, what are you actually looking for in Luxau, and what are you trying to achieve from it, right? So a good starting place is, of course, just knowing the fucking shapes, right? Make sure you're doing your shapes correctly. Meaning, okay, tan, bong, fook, fook. Okay, so now you're doing your shapes properly. That's the basics. If you don't know that, then you need to understand that first. But the first thing you want to be doing, and I see this all the time, is making sure you're actually going forward. That's the first fundamental. I see people rolling often on the internet, and they're just, if you just move your arms up and down, and they're just moving their arms up and down. And this looks so terrible. At any point in time, Ward can just reach through. At any point in time. That's pointless. You should not do that ever. If you ever do that, I will punch you in the face. And I say that with love, meaning it's shit, don't do that. So what am I getting at? When you are doing your Luxau, your first primary objective is to reach forward to each other. We both start here, you see, Ward starts in Tan Sao, I start in Fuk Sao. He's on a Fuk Sao, I'm on a Bong Sao. So we're in the start positions, and we both gently, so it's not like we don't just go rah and start to smash each other. It's a cooperative exercise. You both gently reach into the power plane, right? So Ward's reaching towards me, I'm reaching towards him. What that creates, it creates two opposing forces, right? That then further potentiate the spin. You must have that forwardness. That gives you the advantage in time. Because if Ward's already going forward to me, so he's already reaching forward, as soon as I come off, he's going to hit me. And remember, this is an art design that we can use up until we're old farts, right? And you need that time advantage, right? I wasn't talking about you, Ward. If that's what, I wasn't suggesting that. I wasn't. So what am I getting at? That's the first thing I want you guys to be focused on. So we're just going to start this exercise with you guys making sure you're reaching forward to each other. Now, this is actually a good exercise to do to play around with strength and structure. I'm going to push forward, and now I'm just going to go into my structure and keep reaching forward. I'm going to keep so you can actually play around with. You guys have been training for a while, and you know the whole concept of strength and structure, right? You can play around with this. I don't mind whether you're going forward with strength or structure, as long as you're going forward. Ultimately, you do want to be using state to do so, yes, and structure is definitely better, but the primary is that you are going forward through the center, and that is what's potentiating the spin. So if I ever take my hand away, you'll see Ward straight away comes straight forward. What I do not want to see is like if Ward takes his right hand away, this. Often people are just in the next part of the shape, and that's completely wrong. You don't want to do that. Why? Because if I am going slightly up towards the Bong Sao as opposed to forward towards him, which potentiates the spin, then as I go up towards his Fuk Sao, he can hit me now. So he can just hit, no, with that hand. He can hit right through because there's no longer anything opposing his force. Does that make sense? Let's look at that again, just because look, I saw a little bit of confusion there. So if Ward's coming forward here towards me, right? So his pressure is coming through here and to here, yeah, to hit me. That means I need to go that way to stop it, right? Because his force is coming at me. So currently I am. But as soon as I stop doing that, I start going up towards his arm, he can quite easily reach through. Can you see that? Because my force is no longer opposing him. Does that make sense? You can see, think of it like this. If there's two circles, which is essentially what it is, Ward's circle, my circle. Or you could even think of a Ward's sphere, my sphere. These two spheres, I wasn't going to say balls because you little children would have had a giggle. These two spheres roll on each other due to the forward direction down the power plane, yeah? You must have that on the whole time. So the first thing I want you guys to do is just get that dialed in. We'll do this for about 3 minutes because that's very easy. I just want you to feel, okay, I'm going forward as I roll. So as we roll, slowly, I just drank a Coke, so I keep burping. Sorry, Ward. As we roll slowly, we keep that forward focus down the power plane. And what you can do every so often is you can take your hand away and make sure they're actually coming forward to you. This is really important. It seems basic, but you'll be surprised how many people forget to do that. And as soon as you take it off there, so if Ward starts to not go forward towards me, starts to go out, watch. So I can just reach through without any effort. So you're not being defensively responsible. I know that's a lot of words for a simple concept, but you need to get this right. Otherwise, your Wing Chun will be terrible. So slow rolling is the first exercise. Slow rolling with forward focus. Every so often, anyone can just take their hand away to just test that they're actually going forward. And then we're going to move on to the next deeper concepts of how do you apply the state into your Luk Sao so that you can actually bring out the fighting skill. Alrighty, any questions? 1, 2, let's do it. So yes, forward, very important, right? And some of you may have noticed that you thought you were going forward, but you actually weren't, right? You were maybe going here or there. If you feel someone not going forward, don't be nice and let them get away with it. Take your hand away, and so that they can go, oh, wait a second. My mind, my body, I thought I was going forward, but I wasn't. You've got to let them know that. Now, second key detail here, which is important. It is the trajectory forward that's more important than the end goal. Meaning the pathway that your space, your intention, your energy goes is what's going to stop them from hitting you, not where it ends up. So, you know, people say it's the journey, not the destination. Similar in context. You could think that my center here, right, is the destination. My whole center is the destination. And if that was the case, then Ward's shoulder would take a straight line to my center. But if Ward takes a straight line to my center, pushing from the shoulder there, it doesn't defend the actual power plane, doesn't defend the center line. See, I'm quite easily tickling him here. Not good, right? But if as he senses his upper body and arcs it through the power plane, yeah. Now if I try to reach through, there's something stopping me. Why? So we stay there, Ward. Because everything is funneling through the center line, center plane, aka power plane. Power plane's a better word because it suggests you're using intention through the power plane, as opposed to just center line. You say center line to someone and say, oh, you mean, is this the center line? It doesn't really make sense, right? So power plane's better. So apart from just going forward, make sure this is the trajectory. This arc, everything is arcing into the power plane. That covers any pressure coming through the center. Does that make sense? Whereas if Ward's pressure is coming this way, and I'm coming through the center, he's not actually meeting me. If I'm coming through the power plane and he's coming this way, see how his force is actually feeding me to go through to him, which makes, so let's look at that again. He comes just through here, I go through the power plane. Watch how easy it is. It's very easy. As soon as Ward comes back through the power plane himself, yeah, now I can't go through there anymore. I'm putting the same, even more pressure in, and he can withstand that. So one thing is make sure you're going forward. The second thing is make sure you're going forward the right way, through the power plane, arcing into it. It is the journey that is more important than the destination, so to speak. Get it? 1, 2, let's go. That's the foundation. You know, you want to make sure your shapes are good, you got nice tan bong, you got nice fook, right? But then you want to make sure you're going forward so that you are actually moving with the intention to strike, is a simple way of putting it. My intention is to strike the opponent. You should always have a sense of strikingness to them. And then we talked about, okay, make sure everything's funneling through the power plane so that you're actually protecting your center. You know, if you're not funneling correctly, you weaken the strength of the protection coming down your center. So the next component becomes, as we roll now, and you've got a nice roll with a partner, you can both increase the reaching via how? Via softly reaching forward. Very simple. It's nothing crazy or complicated or energetic. You just reach forward. What will that do? That will increase the level of activity in your muscular system. Make sense? But we know that we want our muscles to be relaxed, right? So what does that mean? As we've got a nice cooperative roll with each other and we're reaching forward, right? I'm reaching a bit more aggressively, for lack of a better word, to Ward, yeah, he'll notice in his system parts of his musculature, his muscles, that are actually getting a bit active, right? So what does Ward do? Oh, my muscles are active. He gets centered in his intention, gets that good feeling quality, and then from the center commands the release. So if you stay there, Ward, it's like he goes, I feel good in my center. I've got a nice intention in here. Wonderful. From earth to here. And then from this line, he commands the release. He goes, I'm going to sense and sync that son of a bitch so that that tension leaves my body, right? The command comes from the center. So from the tail to the belly to the heart to the head, all of the energetic centers in the central meridian are commanding the release. They're commanding the sensing and syncing within that space. So what are you doing? You're consciously building the frameworks in your body to be able to release tension under pressure. Make sense? So, as we roll slowly with each other, ooh, I noticed a little bit of activity in my lower back and my calves. I'm just gonna, isn't that wonderful? Yeah, it's like you're giving yourself an energetic massage. As you roll, yeah, and every day you're gonna feel different, meaning every day you're gonna feel different activities in your system. You use slow luxau as a way, so if you can face that way, Wood, you don't need to put your arms up. Pretend he's got his arms up. A way to build the connection from the center into all of the parts of your body so that you can command the release if need be, but ultimately to have a flushing release. But everyone's different and everyone has different tension points in their body. So you're using luxau as a way to slowly release, or even fastly, release the tension via being centered in your intention and then syncing and sensing through that space. Now what's actually happening, okay? Yeah, you're syncing and sensing, but what's going on here? This unifies your structure. Tension disconnects structure. So if Ward's tense in his shoulder, this tension here disconnects this piece from this piece. Make sense? So if I put pressure, you'll see now it blocks at his shoulder. But if Ward can center and sense and get a good feeling and then sink through the shoulder, yeah, now there's a connection through the structure. So what you're doing ultimately is you're building your defensive structure, aka the invincible shield of Wing Chun, via slow conscious rolling where you're essentially centering, sensing, and sinking under dynamic pressure, which unifies your body structure. It gets your whole body structure unified as one through sensing and through dissolving tension. Also, it's unified through the pointing, through the funneling through the power plane. And lastly, this is the baseline. This is the framework for what we would call Bei Fan Lei, or give back to you. So ultimately, you train this so that you don't even need to take pressure in, so you can just aim back to the other person, and then as you expand, it won't even come back to you. So you'll find it's easy to, it won't feel like there's pressure coming to my feet anymore. It feels like you can just bounce everything back to them, which will be part of the next stages we go to. So to put it very simply, slow luxau, reach forward, power plane on, focusing through the power plane, rolling from the forward versus forward, not from the up, down, left, right. As you notice activity in your system going, centering, sensing, syncing, and building those connections. That's deepening the state from the mind to the energy body to the physical body, because your physical body needs to catch up with what your intention wants it to be like. Your intention wants your body to be relaxed, fast, and powerful, right? Yeah, but maybe it's not there yet. So you've got to build that into it. Make sense? All right, 1, 2. Activity or tension in their system? No? You all mastered it? Yeah? Okay, good. Yeah. Look, the reason we use the term activity is so that you can think of it in terms of a scale. We don't want to think tension, because when we think tension, that's bad, right? We don't want to get all scolding, oh, I'm tense. And tense is usually a yes-no equation, an on-off thing. Whereas activity is a scale. I'm active in a tense direction, or I'm active in a space, energy, relaxation direction. That's why we use the term activity. Now, just a key detail here on speeding up the release is when you do notice, you've got a couple of options, fuck with both, see what works for you. Now, as I put pressure on Ward's system, let's just say he notices some activity somewhere. Where do you notice activity? Can you give us a...
My right arm.
Okay, in his right arm, right? So Ward could focus on just syncing his right arm, which is one thing, if he syncs his right arm, right? Yeah. Or he could be aware of that as he syncs the whole upper body, yeah? Which feels better?
The whole body.
The whole body, that's right. Now why is that important? Why is that an interesting detail? Well, the first time I was aware of this was actually the first question I asked Igor. When I first got there, we were all doing our forms, and he'd come up to us, so towards me doing Tanzao, maybe with this arm so they can see. He'd come up and he'd do this. He'd go, lift it out and rip it all the way back, so try to keep your spine straight, and rip it all the way right back here, and then start turning it to get us to move it. And I was like, fuck me, this is terrible. And he was doing that because we were all really tense. We'd done like fuckloads of chi sao, and we needed to empty our shoulders out. Anyway, so I asked him, I was like, so when I'm practicing Tanzao, should I really focus on feeling here? And he was like, no. It was like very adamant that no. He said, you must always feel the whole body. That was his first kind of direction. You must always feel the whole body. And then the question becomes, why is that? Because you'll feel the body, and the body will adjust relative to the other pieces that you're aware of. So if I'm not, for example, sensing my whole spine and my whole space as I try to relax out the muscles of my shoulder and back, for example, I may relax and release these, but not notice that I'm building tension in another area to compensate for that area. Does that make sense? So that's why we always want to be aware of, okay, that's why we say, okay, make sure you center from the earth to the crown and then sink from there. Because going from the earth to the crown centering activates awareness in the whole body. I should have highlighted that part a bit further, but I just realized that was happening when I was rolling with Matthew just now, so that's why I brought it up. So fuck with that a little bit, and then we'll move to the next thing. Still slow looks out. When you notice a little bit of activity, you can go, okay, I'm going to center and sink through that place there, my lower back, for example, or I can center and sink through the whole space with an awareness of the lower back. See the difference there? It's a subtle one, but it's an important one. All right, 1, 2.